Well, she's at it again. Rosie O'Donnell on The View yesterday. She used the Amish school shooting as a platform to criticize the right to own guns. Let's take a look.
I think the horror of imagining 6 to 13-year-old girls handcuffed together and shot execution style one by one is perhaps enough to awaken the nation that maybe we need some stricter gun control laws.
Well, I think just take away your right to bear arms.
It's not really a right. There's debate as to what that...
right. It's in our Constitution.
Well, in the United States, there's debate over whether or not the right to bear arms includes the lobby organization of the NRA allowing no rules and no registration and absolutely sort of carte blanche to make guns available to Americans in a way they're not in the rest of the world. I guarantee you, if that man did not have a gun, the mothers who were the teachers in that school would never have left those children alone in that room.
Joining us now from the Second Amendment Foundation, Alan Gottlieb, and the president of the Constantine, and also Richard April. Sorry,
we'll give you another try next week.
Thank you. All right, I'll try again. Alan, let me start with you for a second here. You know something? Didn't I read a short time ago that Rosie O'Donnell had armed bodyguards for her? This more liberal hypocrisy, Hollywood elitism here?
Well, there's an awful lot, Sean, of hypocrisy and elitism when it comes to Hollywood people speaking out against gun rights when they have armed bodyguards like she does. But to be honest about it, most of us in the gun rights movement don't have a lot of respect for Rosie O'Donnell, and she really needs to reload her mind before she shoots her mouth off.
You know something, Richard? I got to tell you something. I have been trained in the use of firearms since I'm a young guy, and I'm a pretty good shot. I take the use of weapons and gun safety really seriously. You and I discussed this in detail.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you something. Americans should have the right to defend themselves and their families.
Yeah,
Somebody breaks into their home.
I agree.
But, you know, in some places it's hard. New York, it's almost impossible to get a gun permit.
Not at all. If you are a law-abiding citizen, as you are, and you go through the right steps, the NYPD will give you a gun for your home or place of business. Absolutely, there's no right. You absolutely have the right to defend your home. It's enshrined in the Constitution.
It's not that easy, though.
But let's not confuse
things. It can take a year or longer or more, and you better be able to go jump through the hoops if you want a carry permit.
Not anymore.
Oh, yes. No, in New York it is. In New York it's nearly impossible.
I just urge you, let's not you and I debate. I urge you to go out and check. 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said you're right. It's no longer correct. It has been streamlined. If you go through the background checks, you meet the criteria.
I've been through the criteria. I've been through the process.
And you have weapons.
But it took a year.
You said you have
a year to have what is your constitutional right.
How long did you do that?
Well, it took a year, but it was in the last year, but in the last 3 years.
Exactly my point.
But the only point I would say to you is this. There is an anti-gun agenda. There is this belief system that the gun somehow is responsible for itself. When guns, more often than not, are used to save lives, you can misuse a car. You can misuse hang on a second. You can misuse a baseball bat. You can misuse a tire iron. I could hit Alan in the head with this glass if I wanted to.
Which I prefer you did not do. But you're making it.
In spite of all his gun training, he's missed me every single time. Now, Richard, look, before I get to Alan, I just want to ask you, could any law prevented what happened in Pennsylvania?
Well, listen, Pennsylvania is a horribly tragic situation.
Could any law stop that?
I don't know. It could be that if they had full licensing and registration, it may have slowed him down enough so he would have thought about it and maybe not engaged.
Now that's the issue. Alan, you know, no one's talking about taking away your guns, taking away your rights, and I think Richard's side and those of us who want gun control get misrepresented saying that's what the agenda is. It's not the agenda. The question is, can it be slowed down? Can there be a federal registry where you check before someone goes in? And let's have as much control of the situation so guns don't get into the wrong hands. What's wrong with that?
Well, federal registries don't really work and don't mean anything. Alan, the real problem is the Gun-Free School Zones Act. I mean, when you put a sign up here, a gun-free school zone, it means that any madman or crazy individual has a target-rich, risk-free environment where he knows you can go in there and there's no teacher, no administrator, no adult that's armed that can be able to stop him from creating havoc and killing innocent children. Yeah. That's the problem.
Well, your argument then is that we shouldn't have laws because people won't obey them. Do we not make laws that are good law, that's good policy, simply because we think that people, Richard, aren't going to obey that law, so we don't make a law in the first place?
Of course not. Let's repeal the laws against murder. Right. And we'll have free range there. Right. The reality is these laws do work.
That's not the case here.
Hold on one second, Alan, then we'll get to you.
Alan did not answer your question. Let me answer it. Licensing and registration does work. In the states that have it, you'll find that the guns that are used in crime come from other states. New York is a quintessential example. 98% of the guns used in crime here come from other states because we have strict gun control laws.
If it should be shown, Alan, that gun running can cut down on crime, as most conservatives, I agree, would probably want, as liberals do, less crime. Conservatives run on that kind of platform. If gun running will cut it down, why not support what legislation to stop the gun running?
We all want less crime, but this isn't about gun running. I mean, you already got 22,000 laws on the books to regulate the private ownership, use, and possession of firearms. Did they work? No. The problem we have the spat of school shootings going on is because we have a law that discourages people from having a firearm to defend themselves, and these crazy people know it, so they know they can go in there and succeed at their mission. That's the problem. It's a law that's stupid.
There's absolutely no... This is nonsense. I'm sorry. He's absolutely making this up. There's no such law that would prevent them from having a gun. These 22,000 laws aren't enough because we don't have a national law.
All right, I got to have a national
law.
Last question. Should every American that's law-abiding, doesn't have a criminal record, should they all, if they want, be allowed to have a right to carry a gun?
If they go through the proper channels in their local states.
And what is the maximum amount of time that should take?
In urban areas, it'll take longer.
Maximum amount of time.
I don't know.
2 months?
No, 2 or 3 months.
Maximum.
That's the problem.
Yeah, somewhere there.
All right, well, Alan, we'll have you back. Thank